Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I am Fernandes, and
I'm Chris Jayawardena.
And we're about to discuss an episode from season 1 of Laverne and Shirley, Fakeout at the Stakeout, directed by Alan Myerson, written by Deborah Leschen and David W. Duclon. I don't know if you've done any research on what the heck they were up to, but go for it, Chris.
Myerson, as we know before, was wonderful television director, did a lot of sitcom work. We did quite a few episodes of Laverne and Shirley. The writers I actually did not get around to my surprise. We're looking them up for this episode. But we're going to find out in just a moment. I'm going to cut this so that I don't look like a complete and total idiot.
I was going to say, I think I know what they did. I think they wrote my favorite episode.
So all I see credited here is Deborah Leschen on IMDb. And she was a writer, scripty for Rhoda. Did 2 episodes of Bustin' Loose. Okay. Let's see. Let me just see if I can get the clip notes
she did. Yep, they did. They wrote my favorite episode. They wrote Look Before You Leap.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, so picking up where we left off.
Yes.
So the author of this episode, IMDb credits only as Deborah Leschen, but is it on the episode there's an extra name?
It's on the episode and it's on Wikipedia.
On Wikipedia, okay, which means that there might be some WGA credit issue in the way there. So Deborah Leschen, I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, which I apologize for, but they were.
If you're out there, please correct us.
It's a wrote a lot of other television shows at the same time, including 5 other episodes of Laverne and Shirley, including one which is quite a favorite of yours, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
And
Look Before You Leap.
And as well as 4 episodes of Rhoda. And it looks like they kind of retired. She got finished up in the 90s and hasn't really worked much since. But it's good to see. This is someone who definitely went on to write quite a few other episodes of the show. So we get a chance to see what they got right now. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And this is what the episode was about. The girls arrive home to find that their clothing had been stolen. Realizing they've been ripped off, they initially call on Frank for help. Frank calls the police, and the officer who arrives thinks that this is the work of the Milwaukee Masher, a man who dresses up in women's clothing to mug innocent victims in a nearby park. When they discover that the precinct has no female officers, Laverne volunteers to work as a decoy because she's become smitten with the reporting officer Norman Hughes. A concerned Shirley calls Carmine in to provide self-defense lessons. That's not enough to make Shirley feel like Laverne will be safe. When Laverne forgets her binoculars at home, Shirley rushes to the park to help her, and the 2 women soon find themselves in the infamous Masher's crosshairs. What do you think of this episode?
I definitely love the physical comedy in this one. It's a wonderful balance of zingers and gags. This is one of those episodes where the timing really gets to shine, I feel like. And it's kind of cool that it was able to take something that's kind of serious, play it goofy, but not yet entirely dismiss the seriousness of what's going on. So it's good. I will say it also felt very vaudevillian in its comedy.
Yes. There's definitely a perfume of vaudeville throughout the series, and a lot of that has to do with how Gary Marshall started learning in the Catskills. He kind of learned to write comedy, writing stand-up. So he learned from those old timers, and you can kind of feel that, and that perfumes the show in a lot of ways. I think what's interesting is this is where the show's physical comedy starts to ramp up until it becomes what the show is known for, until we start getting into more and more elaborate physical stunts, until we're actually looking at stuff that Cindy and Penny are doing on screen. And you're sitting there going, how the heck did they survive this? You know what I mean? We have them clinging to a Murphy bed eventually, being thrust backwards into a wall, and then back out into the space of the room. And it's like, how did they survive that? They got an award from the Stuntman's Union because of this, and that's
oh my gosh.
Cause.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, just to quickly interject, stunt people are fantastic, talented individuals and deserve an Oscar. I take the opportunity to say that.
Oh yeah, they do. Hell yeah, they do. But yes, this is the first episode where we get to see Norman Hughes, who will become Laverne's on-again, off-again boyfriend in season 2. I'm pretty sure he doesn't pop up in season 3, but in season 2, he's there pretty frequently. Pretty frequently. What'd you think of him?
Yeah, I really enjoyed him. I love that he has this kind of like character actor charm, so that
Yes.
they play him as, again, kind of like the straight man to them being so goofy,
Yeah.
but he gets these wonderful little like soft moments and kind of funny moments. Like I think the fact that they really worked on him being the cop and building so much of the comedy out of that, I think, is what was great, because sometimes the line delivery is the line said in a goofy way isn't funny, but him saying in that straight, serious, like, officer voice, like
Mhm.
that makes it work. Like, what was it, they mentioned Dick Tracy and the character that Dick would send out to be the decoy, and he goes, yeah, we thought about that, but we don't have any women officers, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
there's a goofiness to the way that he says it in that straight manner.
Yeah. I think it was Tess Trueheart he mentioned. I think.
Yeah, that's right, Tess Trueheart, thank you.
Yes.
My
favorite.
I didn't grow up as a Dick Tracy person.
Neither did I. Not even with the movie that came out with Warren Beatty and Madonna and Pacino. Just eating that scenery as fast as you can eat it. That is a performance. That's all I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite Norman Hughes line in this episode was, "No one's gonna attack a musical group."
Yes.
So he delivered that was so great. It was so great. He's
For me,
very
it
good.
probably was the do you want to go to there's the the FBI ball or something like that, or or that it's a seminar or something, the thing he asks Laverne out on the date at the end, and it's this is your ask, buddy, like you really got to work on your material here with women.
And then they end up going to the circus.
Yeah,
which is a very Laverne activity, A. And B, I love that Shirley didn't like it because a camel dirtied on her foot.
And you can hear them muttering, arguing with each other. And it's like, you pushed me. I didn't push you. It just did its thing.
Yes, the banter here is really good in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those episodes that's very, very, very much about the girls and how they interact with one another and how they try to keep each other from dying horrible deaths. Basically, in Shirley's point of view, that's what's happening here.
Right,
exactly what's happening here.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, that's the thing. Even though it's unclear, clearly when the perp is finally seen at the conclusion, he's not armed, but the term the Masher, it makes you think of like he's gonna have a club, he's gonna beat people to death. But to go with what you were saying about how getting to have the banter and the connection between the characters, what I also loved in this episode is we're kind of far enough into the first season here that we finally get to have almost like callbacks. Like there's the all alone, and even like the way that, there's these little references that start kind of coming back, that don't come off as self-aggrandizing. It's more like, oh, well, we've done enough of these episodes with the audience to know what jokes are landing, so we can kind of bring that stuff back in. And like the world is getting a little more fleshed out in the process, it feels like.
Yeah. Everything was chaotic at this point behind the scenes. The writers' room was the most chaotic place on the Paramount lot at this point in time, which is really interesting when you see how the show manages to come together and still land and still be funny and still be good all these years later. Because, everything was messy. It was very messy. We're going to get more into that when we hit How Do You Say Are You Dead in German. Because there was some interesting behind-the-scenes information that we bumped into recently, which would be fun to talk about. But yeah, I don't know how much of that was the actors noticing this and going aha and notating, or if how much of it was the producers, because the directing staff would not solidify until season 3, when one guy directed the majority of the season, and then that didn't happen again. And the writer's staff was constantly on and off, constantly, like I said, chaotic. The writers and the actors did not get along, to put it plainly. So to me, that's it's interesting what sticks and what becomes a running gag. We're gonna get more running gags. Most of the running gags are gonna be in cement by the last episode of the season. When that happens, I will indeed bring it up because I did make a note of what the heck all the little gags that get cemented in place will keep occurring. So
It's kind of just okay. It's interesting to think of that perspective of how it's a there's the time of people try to force a catchphrase, or we're going to put all this marketing push behind something, and you don't know when you're creating what you are creating how it's going to be. People are going to react to it. What's going to take off and what won't.
Yeah.
Like the hello gags, become pretty consistent whenever the boys are in an episode.
Yeah.
And this one I felt was one of the better ones in this episode, to be honest.
Yeah, you have to say it. You have to say it.
and it's a and there's the and the other thing also is the consistency of having Dwayne and Eddie and actually see them again right away in the first scene. It's great to make it makes the world feel more, I guess, contiguous.
Yes.
I think that's the word. Contiguous.
Continuous, perhaps. Solidified, perhaps.
Yeah. But even them on the bench singing "In the Still of the Night" and remembering the "Once Upon a Rumor," where that was what Squeaky was singing at the end, the shoo-be-doo.
Yep. And Lenny providing his little backup music, and it's a very, 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 because chaotic yet not chaotic, yet character based yet not character based. This show is not like nothing else in the universe. And
it's a beast of its own, a bundle of contradictions.
Yeah. And you'll see that as time goes on. You'll definitely see that as time goes on. I was going to mention that this is the first episode where Boo Boo Kitty really becomes a more noticeable part of the plot. Even more later on in the series. Obviously, there'll be more plots about Boo Boo Kitty, and Boo Boo Kitty will become Shirley's talisman, so to speak. The symbol of her innocence in a lot of ways. Boo Boo Kitty still resides with Shirley, Jesus, with Cindy. Thank you, in real life. And the origin point of the prop is that they just happened to find it in the among the props at the studio. And she liked go ahead.
I was just gonna say, where did it come from? Is it this cosmic entity? Is Boo Boo Kitty really this magical being from beyond space and time?
Beware the cat. Beware the cat. But that's kind of like the kismet that guided the show in a lot of ways, because this is how Penny found Laverne's L. What happened was she was doing a wardrobe fitting. She happened to find a sweater that was vintage. That was a letter sweater. It had an A on it. I think it was an A. And she said, can we get rid of the A and put an L on it? Let's put an L on everything. And that way it'll be shorthand. She won't have to keep saying my name. There'll be a visual cue. So with the L, and they'll go, L, Laverne. And they won't have to keep going, Laverne, Shirley, for the weeks. And,
which when writing, God, that gets so frustrating.
Yeah. She hated that. She hated, the repetition. She didn't want the repetition. She wanted to just give them a shorthand sign, so she wouldn't have to keep having Cindy say her name over and over again. That's how the L became trademark. Really neat. I thought those are some of my favorite little bits of trivia in the show. Is that it was pure accident. Some of the stuff came from real life. Some of it just happened to be them bumping into the right thing. Some of it happened to be a producer dictated, writer dictated. It's all interesting in the end. The way things come together for a show like this.
Yeah, it becomes a very collaborative project in that sense, because there's always a little bit of something here or there coming from this person or that person.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Phil Foster gets a great bit on the phone here during this episode, where he's trying to call Laverne's Aunt Josephine, trying to convince her to take both of the girls in so they won't be in danger anymore. I thought he had a nice little bit of supporting presence in this episode in particular. What do you think?
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I also did wonder if the Aunt Josephine as a name was because you and I just watched Some Like It Hot recently, and it made me think it's like Josephine. But the that definitely gave me pause. But certainly, I love that with God, he's only in the episode for maybe a total of like 6 minutes at most, but he really makes that time work.
Yes.
And I love and his the one sided phone conversation timing is really hard to nail, but the the delivery of it's like it's like it's Josephine. You're sitting down. Laverne was nearly killed tonight. And then pause. What do you mean? Call you back in 10 minutes?
Yes. Yes. It's a great gag. That's a great gag. I love that so much.
It's so good. It's so
I
good.
love that's just a callback to him trying to talk to her about Sal Molina. Laverne getting engaged. Laverne's engaged. What do you mean? Yeah, she's engaged. That sound does not happen a whole ton as it goes on, which makes me sad for what could have been. But it's just funny while it lasts. I'll tell you that much. Okay, this is the first time we see Carmine post his breakup with Shirley, and it's interesting how he's kind of big brother here, but not big brother here, but doing a favor for Shirley, but kind of not doing a favor for Shirley. So
right. Oh yeah, and it's a. I don't want to dunk on Carmine too much because he still tries to help. He gives them some helpful advice. He makes them feel like just do it. You do what you have to do. Here's a trick. Here's something you can do. But yeah, it was fascinating to see. You could feel the dynamic had changed. And what was also interesting to me is from an actor perspective, the chemistry worked a little better than it did with Shirley and Carmine as a couple. At least it did for me.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I felt I had noticed. But it was interesting. That being said, man, the big ragu on his jacket just, It just that just doesn't work for me. We already have one person with their subtitle on the back of their jacket, and he's fine. He's doing fine.
Well, that was a thing in the 50s, so that's why it became a thing for everybody in the show during this particular.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because all culture is monolithic. I say slightly bitterly as I in my head I'm still designing science fiction worlds.
But to me, I think you probably are going to at least be impressed with how he changes a little bit. They're gonna keep being on and off again, as we know, and blah blah blah. It's gonna keep shape shifting. I've said that before, but it's hard not to dunk on Carmine sometimes. It really is. When you take the whole series together, what I found as I'm rewatching the show is that I like Carmine less than I did. And I like Lenny more, which is funny because he's my favorite. He's my my absolute favorite, and I don't know why that is, but yeah, I used to at least with Carmine and Shirley, kind of see how they're both at fault at certain points. But the way he just carries himself sometimes. But anyway,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a great line, and it's a great zinger in the show, which is, and maybe sometime I'll tell you how to fight two people, and it's at once, and it's like, how do you do that? Bring a friend. It's a great line, but it's also like, it's not taking the thing seriously. Like that's the kind of thing. Like, yes, it's funny. Oh, what was it? I just heard this quote from The Simpsons the other day. It's true, but he shouldn't say it,
Yeah.
I mean, that is in many respects Carmine in a nutshell for me.
Yeah, but he was to be fair to him, he was supportive. He tried to help Laverne. Laverne could pretty much kick his butt, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Laverne is badass in this show. Let's be real. She can probably literally physically pick up the majority of the men in the show. She literally does pick up Lenny at one point in a fireman's carry. So it shows how strong Penny was. Penny said she didn't.
Wow.
Penny said she didn't know where the heck her strength came from when she would do that stuff. But yeah, it's just
powered by her bitterness. Her
Laverne's
cynicism is the energy.
Yes. The hate makes her stronger. Stronger.
Now I just want to see Penny Marshall in a 1980s made She-Hulk movie.
Oh my god, that would have been great. That would have been so cool.
Because you can imagine her in the courtroom scenes
Yes.
again, and then going out flipping cars and stopping bad guys.
I can picture that. I can really picture that. Come to think of it. Oh, that'd be funny. Okay. Well, speaking of the boys, we got a really good chicken fight scene in this one. And
Oh my god.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, just that's the setup to that, the pay, and I love how it swerves in. It's already funny because of the them arguing in the tackle with Shirley on top, and then they come in and just swerve right into there and just land that joke like a spectacular Michael Bay car crash. I mean that because it's a positive thing. A car crash in a Michael Bay movie is a positive thing because you're getting your entertainment. Don't misrepresent me there, folks.
I love the line, "Why do we let them in our house? Like, you got a choice, girls."
Oh my god, we have a choice. I know, I love that. Oh, and I love the stinger at the end with the the alarm system.
Yes, which we never see again because that would ruin the comedy.
Right. I mean, it would have been funny if, like, it's one of those, if you were making a continuity-driven show, the great thing would be the next episode after they come in, after they come back, is you see, what's his name? Squiggy or Lenny, with something behind his back, and then you see him, like, holding this little, like, device. So really,
they come in wearing earmuffs. They could have done something really simple like that. Like, that was a great little button on the scene where the noise is too incredible and they go running for their lives back upstairs.
Yep. Oh, and speaking of the boys, I love the detective outfits so much. How Michael's able to pull it off, and Squiggy with his t-shirt, his jeans, those sneakers, and that way too big of a coat.
Yes. This is the first time where they basically role play. They're basically like kids role playing in a lot of ways. And this is the first time that they had to put on costumes and play detective. They will play firemen repeatedly. They'll play cowboys at least once. All kinds of stuff coming up. Two of them.
Well, it was the era of the Village People.
Yeah. This was that era. But no, that to me is just like little kids just like having fun in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is one of the things I appreciate about the show, and it becomes part of the interesting dichotomy of this episode, is that there's a sense of the girls are being confronted by this threat, which is now an adult threat, as they're, but they're still kind of kids. And so, they're asking dad, they're asking their friends for advice. They kind of get the boys to help them, and the boys, are kids, so they don't quite get it. And then what was kind of cool is then you see this sort of flip as the theme of the episode, and how Laverne gets herself into trouble with the situation by being a decoy because she likes the guy and she's into the guy. And then Shirley having to have the heart-to-heart talk with her about, like, hey, are you doing this because you really want to be around him? But it's like, you're not into this kind of stuff. Like, you're investing a lot into his life rather than having him come to invest in yours, or finding the place to meet in the middle.
Yeah, or basically that she's again coming this close to getting herself killed just to please him, and she's like, don't do that.
Yeah. And it's I mean, I like Norman, he's a cool guy, I mean, it's not like I know his badge number, 91604, but he's not worth going through all that trouble for, Laverne.
Yeah, even I think that he's my favorite Laverne boyfriend. Of all of her boyfriends, he is my absolute favorite out of all of them. When it comes to
guys, I'm definitely excited to see more of him, though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll get more from season 2. Season 2 is a lot of fun. We get some really good appearances from him. And the guy who portrays him writes several episodes. The series. Yeah. He wrote another one that I really like, which is Two of Our Weirdos Are Missing, which I've mentioned, I think, a couple of episodes ago. But that's what he wrote in season 2. Okay, so what do you think about our villain here?
Oh, man. It's like I have to remember to kind of peel back the layer of being a person of today, and how it's a little stigmatizing you know,
Yeah.
but it's also then
Yeah.
having to remind myself, hey, how many Giallo movies do you watch in a year?
Huh.
But I love that when confronted, it's entirely a case of, man's got to make a living.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Yeah.
physically, he's amazing. I love how he just
Yeah.
drives straight into that role with like complete abandon.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, and he looks good in a poodle scrote. Not gonna lie.
To me, honestly, like they're being very, very careful not to mock even people who cross dress. He's just a guy putting this clothing on so he can make money, and
Right.
if he makes money
It,
killing people, so be it.
yeah.
It's definitely not making fun of trans people. Just to put that out
right.
there.
Yeah. It's a uniform. Yeah. He's not. I mean, this isn't like a controversial thing like what you call it. What was that film? The Freakin' movie, Cruising. It's not like that.
I have not seen Cruising, but I've heard of Cruising.
As have I, yeah, and I've heard it's yeah, and I found out where one of the inspirations are coming from, but we'll talk about that after the air.
Apparently, that got a lot of Razzie nominations, which I found interesting. I've not. That's what I know about is that it got nominated for Razzies. I know it was very controversial. I know folks were protesting it because of its portrayals. Is what I'm going to say. And I was an infant when it came out, so otherwise it would have been probably would have been on the picket lines along with my fellow LGBTQ activists.
Yeah, possibly.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean it's freaking. That dude doesn't know, does not know subtlety or tact. Really doesn't know tact. But anyway, sorry everyone. That was another of our tangential rants into cinema history. Yeah, it's again, come for the Laverne and Shirley, stay for the William Friedkin obscure controversial movie discussion.
Eventually, somehow, we're going to end up referencing "Can't Stop the Music." We'll get there. We'll get there somehow.
And trying to go over my notes and see if there's any other thing. Okay, one thing before I forget, because this was funny, was my and part of this is a mixture of different references, but as soon as the line, "Oh my, where's my Angora sweater?" came up, my immediate thought was, "Oh no, Ed Wood's been here," in reference to the which I believe is a Sinister Urge reference. Sorry, Sinister Urge episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000, where when realizing it's an Ed Wood film, suddenly Crow cries, "Oh no, my agoraphobia!"
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That takes me back. Gosh, I haven't seen the Ed Wood episodes of MC3K in a while now. Kind of want to now.
Yeah, because it's Sinister Urge, Bride of the Monster, and oh crap, I can't remember. It's the one with the women gang. I can't remember.
Yeah. No. I'm gonna say the wrong one. Violent Years. No, Violent Years.
Violent
It
Years.
was Violent Years?
That's it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Violent Years. The Violent Years with the girl gang.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And the girl dies of pregnancy, which is always a horrible thing.
That's right. Newspaper man's daughter runs with a vicious girl gang, written by Edward Wood Jr. Okay, again, so come for the Laverne and Shirley, stay for the movie discussions.
Yes,
we'll be. Some point we're just going to make a movie podcast. We'll finally take the jump.
And I don't
know how we'll find the time, but
fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so back on track. Yes. So what would you rate this episode?
This is about midstream for me. This is about a 4. No, I'd probably put about 5. It's a darn good episode. Perfectly workmanlike. Great appearance for Norman Hughes for the very first time. Get to see him. Little good dialogue bits. Great flow. It's just not my absolute favorite from this season or from the series.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
For me, I'd put it at like kind of a 6, like right there at a 6, because I agree. As much as I have a lot to praise about the episode, they're more in the individual moments rather than the kind of cohesive whole. You can definitely feel the jokes were really coming together, but that they're not integrated. The pacing of it is a little difficult. Like it feels as if the whole "Loved for Being You" has no setup in the first half of the episode. And so it doesn't really, it just kind of feels like it makes a bit of a leap because your brain is still taking on the humor and they're still trying to give you the zingers, even when Shirley's trying to warn Laverne, why are you doing this? Are you doing this
Yeah.
for the right reason?
Yeah.
And so it just doesn't feel as integrated. So I mean, I what's there I really enjoy, but I feel like there's other episodes in the season so far, and I think other ones we'll be discussing coming up soon
Yes.
that kind of tie the room together a little better.
Yes. They are the best rugs in the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's a good episode. It's not the best episode, but it's worth watching. Is what we'll say.
Yeah.
It's worth watching. Yeah, that's it for this week.
I think that is it for this week. Awesome. Well, thank you again, everyone, so much for joining us, and we'll be back next time with I think. Oh, that's right. I think next week is High Neighbor.
Yes, it is. It's one of my favorite episodes.
Well, hopefully you'll be as excited as we are about that episode once we go through it. And yeah, anyway, you can check us out on Twitter at Night PC, because Twitter doesn't like full words or sentences apparently. And as well, we are able to be found as Night After Night Pod on most different services or different places. We have a Facebook page. We have the Patreon, the WordPress for keeping track of things a little bit, and so on and so forth. And as well, just keep an eye out for Night After Night, because it's what we do here. We night after night go through this fun show and entertain ourselves and hopefully entertain you. And we thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Thank you so much.
Please continue to listen to this podcast. Stay with the same podcast night after night. Ignore Squiggy, as the girls would say.
Oh, that's right. Good point. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for us, and I guess we'll see you next time.